Madison Square Garden back on Wednesday. Rallied for that win. Protas fires. He scores!
This is Aliaksei Protas. Damn. He's a 24-year-old, 6'6", 225-pound Belarusian monster who is leading the NHL in plus-minus while on pace for 35 goals and over 70 points, and I haven't heard a single person talking about him. What the hell is going on in Washington, and where did this guy come from? Taken in the third round in the Jack Hughes draft, he was a mystery before being taken by Washington. This guy reminds me a bit of Nikola Jokic. He's this rangy, skilled playmaking forward whose main concern before being drafted was, how is he going to move out there? The reason Protas fell to 91st overall was that scouts thought he would never get quick enough to work at an NHL level. In juniors, he just moved strange. He was this awkward pick where the skating was such an issue that the skill on a 6'6" frame just didn't really move any scouts. But his playmaking in juniors was incredible, and it immediately translated to the NHL. Having a strong knowledge and trust in his teammates to be in the right spots, Protas has been cooking the NHL this year with no lookers. The Big Head Video Farm is working on a breakdown on why Washington is so good right now, but fundamentally, the defense joining the rush is a dream for a smart passer like Protas. Entering the zone in a 3-on-2, Protas takes his time establishing control in the offensive zone. Dubois takes out the weak side defender while McMichael takes out the strong side defender. Because it's a rush chance, Protas recognizes that the wingers are going to be a little bit late, which means when Montour went reaching in, he knew that the 11th fastest defenseman in hockey, Martin Fehérváry, would be right behind him for a shot. And that's just one of the already 30 assists this season. Who does Fehérváry let's go, baby? The 6'6", silky smooth playmaker who just served a perfect no-look pass. The rush playmaking is great, but his real playmaking excellence comes from within the zone where he truly looks elite at times. Cutting back to generate space, he threads a needle between three cracking sticks, which almost catches McMichael off guard. That's a play Leon Draisaitl makes a handful of times a game, but Protas even sniffing that level of dominance as a 24-year-old should make Capitals fans ridiculously excited. The passing isn't always perfect, however, and there are times where he can look a little bit too creative, but in a season like this where everything is going well for the Capitals, why not, right? This is probably the best environment he's ever going to play in to just try whatever and see what works. He has the talent, obviously, but his main talent isn't even playmaking. It's in puck possession and winning puck battles. He's already first in the Capitals in 5v5 puck recovery. On a team like Washington, which has been so strong at forcing their way into the corners and winning puck battles, being the best on this physically driven team is pretty ridiculous. He's on pace for 35 goals this year, but that's due to a great understanding of the Capitals system and a great understanding of how he can actually get past defensemen. Far too often this season, defensemen have miscalculated his speed, and it's allowed him to blaze into the offensive zone and snipe a piss missile. Like, I'm telling you, he strikes a fear of God into these defenders every time he giddies up past the red line. And that's because he actually is fast now. The skating in juniors was an issue because the agility just wasn't working, but he's been getting slowly faster and faster every season, and at 24 years old, he's one of the fastest skaters in the world. Against Detroit in a tight third period game, he circles back behind Carlson to give himself as much runway as possible. 3 seconds later, he has a step on Simon Edvinsson, one of the best young shutdown defensemen in hockey, and his frame prevents any desperation poke check. He snipes it short side with his patented quick release. While his shot has been incredible, I don't think he's at the point where you can call him a consistent 30-plus goal guy yet. He's shooting 22% this season, which unfortunately is pretty preposterous. Statistically, no one has ever been able to shoot 22% multiple seasons in a row, which is a little bit crazy. The total list of players since 2005 who have scored 30-plus goals while shooting 22% more than once in their career is no one since 2005 in the modern era, but I'm not going to put it past Protas to become the first to do this. It's unlikely he is, that guy, just statistically. You can kind of counteract it by putting more shots on net, but for every Protas scoring 40 goals in back-to-back seasons out of nowhere, there might be a Kuzmenko who scores 39 goals one year and 22 the next. It is what it is. Goal scoring is not his primary trait, but at 6'6", despite hitting over 23 miles an hour this season in a game against Carolina, you can describe him as fast, not agile. His top end speed can be ridiculous at times, but he looks like he's lumbering. Like I get why scouts didn't really like his skating. When he first came into the league, he would hit a decent speed once every other game, but it's gotten much more consistent now this year, and he reaches a top end speed multiple times a game. In Washington's counterattack rush-based system, he's been a monster at finding defensemen streaking down the wing, and he's been a specimen at creating his own breakaways with his speed. Like I said, his acceleration looks brazy sometimes, but when he's in his own zone and gets a little bit of time to giddy up on his horse, he moves like a moose trotting down the highway. According to all three zones, he's leading the Capitals in carried exits per 60. The team loves getting him the puck as his humongous frame combined with his speed means it's nearly impossible to stop him at the blue line. He can get it out no matter what. The Athletic ranks him in the 82nd percentile in penalty killers in the NHL. That's while he's on a top 5 penalty kill in the NHL. He's 24 years old. It's pretty rare, especially as a guy who has the occasional mobility issue, to be playing this prevalent a role on such a strong PK. But he's been such a great addition, I get why they're doing it. Now, my issue right away is that on zone entries, he doesn't really do much in terms of preventing chances. He reaches a lot, but it's pretty easy to blow by him, especially if you have some speed. I think that is part of Washington's strategy on the penalty kill though, because once it's in the zone, Protas is quite quick onto the pucks and does have a tendency to sprint out of the zone whenever an opportunity presents itself. I think Washington likes the idea of counterattacking on the PK, and I think they prefer their odds in a puck battle rather than standing up at the line and getting blown past. When Protas gets his wheels moving, however, he's ridiculous at chasing defensemen back into their own zone and creating shorthanded opportunities. He has 17 shorthanded shots this season, 12th in the NHL, despite not even being on the first PK unit. Like, I keep saying it, but his speed is ridiculous sometimes on a guy that big. He's a bull in a china shop that just stresses me out when I watch him go for the puck, personally. The parallels to a specific Milan Lucic play here being forgotten with the accurate poke check, it's a testament to how far the game has gone with these bigger men, but also just a testament to how absolutely cranked that play was from Lucic. Like, holy man, you are a crazy guy for that. So, Protas can skate. Obviously, I can't stop talking about it. He can play make, he's a finesse forward, and damn, he can protect the puck. He's a staple on one of the best penalty kills in the NHL, but to top off all of this madness, he's doing this at even strength. Like, all at even strength. The only players with more 5v5 points in him this season are Leon Draisaitl, David Pastrnak, Nathan McKinnon, Nikita Kucherov, and Sidney Crosby. 5 guys. What the hell? Washington already has one of the best power play setups in the league and is kind of primed around getting shots for Ovi right now, like this season right now. Protas doesn't have a spot next year. However, his playmaking and puck battling is so good, I think he'll earn a spot on power play 1 with a 40-year-old Ovechkin. This is Protas' 4th season in the NHL, but early on he was actually playing with 4th liner Nick Dowd. You don't highlight 4th liners all that much, but Nick Dowd has been about as shutdown gets for Washington. Pinholes Graham has a whole video on how effective he's been as the best 4th liner in hockey and defensive center. It's crazy. He does a lot for this team. But when Protas first got into the NHL, he was on Nick Dowd's line. He mentioned that he learned the role of strong communication from him. And that actually brings me to the whole development of Protas being kind of a testament to the concept of valuing winning hockey above all else. Putting your team on auction and commencing a hard rebuild isn't always the best play, and for a team like Washington, having this system of hardworking players who play for each other and have never gone through a season of actively trying to lose, it means that rookies can come in and learn from vets constantly. I don't know, if Protas went to Buffalo or Anaheim, does he become this player? I don't know. I really don't think so. So this guy's on pace for 75 points, 35 goals, yada yada, whatever. He's sick, right? He's on the first year of a 5-year deal at a little over $3 million per season. That's Jake Evans money for a guy who could score 80 points for you one day. Oh my god, but I'm getting off the rails here, but to top off all this insanity, Washington did it again. Like, they drafted Ilya Protas, Alexei's brother, in the 3rd round again. And a year after being drafted, he looks like a steal again. Washington might have just drafted the Belarusian Hughes brothers, both in the 3rd round, and both absolute specimens who are going to take the reins when Ovi finally hangs him up. At least for now, however, we know that Aliaksei is an animal, and when day 1 of the playoffs start, you know he's going to show up. He can do basically everything out there, and if there were to be a most improved player in the NHL award, I think you give it to Protas and you don't let anyone else even vote. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you appreciated this video, I appreciate you. Huge shout out to the boys over at Sports Contract for clips and stats throughout the video. The same software Hockey Canada uses for their players. It's a ridiculous resource, and this video wouldn't have been possible without them.